CT scan of an Egyptian king's skull. Scientists were shocked to discover this secret. Hello, and welcome back to the Ancient History Channel. My friend, did you know that from ancient times all the way to the present day, the ancient world has remained like a tightly locked chest, filled with mysteries that continually spark human curiosity? The more we explore, the more we come to realize that history is not silent like dry, lifeless pages in a book. Instead, it whispers stories that have never been fully told. Have you ever wondered how those once glorious civilizations truly disappeared? From the mysterious sacred relics of the Jewish people, to mass graves that have puzzled scientists for decades, to strange fossils, and even perfectly preserved mummies, so unsettling that merely looking at them can send a chill down your spine. All of these are incomplete fragments of the past. These traces do more than reveal the development of humankind. They also raise countless unanswered questions. So what really happened during those distant years long ago? Could it be that we are missing a hidden truth, buried beneath the sands of time? If you're just as curious as I am, then don't look away, because right now, we are about to embark together on a journey to uncover haunting ancient secrets in today's video. Are you ready? If so, let's dive straight into our very first discovery. Perfectly preserved. 6,000-year-old mummy reveals the unsolved secret of Pharaoh Amenhotep I. In the harsh Egyptian desert, where time itself seems capable of grinding everything into dust, researchers discovered a mummy that made the entire scientific community hesitate. It was the mummy of Pharaoh Amenhotep I, an ancient king who had lain undisturbed for more than 6,000 years, yet remained preserved with astonishing precision. The floral wreaths were still intact, the wrappings were intricately decorated, and most remarkably, the coffin itself was shaped to closely resemble a real human body. Faced with such preservation, many scientists found themselves asking, should it even be opened, or could a single wrong move destroy an irreplaceable heritage? It was this very perfection that caused them to pause. Instead of unwrapping the mummy using traditional methods, a bold decision was made to use modern CT scan technology to see through the mummy without physically touching it. For the first time in history, Amenhotep I was explored in this way. And the images that emerged were truly spine-chilling because they revealed not just bones, but a real human being who once lived. Through the CT scan results, researchers were able to gradually reconstruct the appearance of this pharaoh during his lifetime. Amenhotep I is believed to have ruled from 1525 to 1504 BCE. He died at approximately 35 years old and stood about 5 feet 6.5 inches tall, an impressive height for an ancient Egyptian. Analysis showed that he had been circumcised, a common ritual of the time, and notably, he had very healthy teeth. Professor Sahar Salim of Cairo University described him as having a narrow chin, a small and slender nose, curly hair, and slightly protruding upper teeth. Hearing this, it feels as though we are looking at a real person, no longer just a distant king confined to the pages of history, doesn't it? However, as researchers examined the CT slices more deeply, the story began to take a darker turn. The scans revealed signs of a broken neck and evidence that the head had once been severed from the body. A large portion of the front abdominal wall was missing, the limbs were no longer intact, and even the right hand and foot were gone. These details raised troubling questions. Who caused such severe damage, and when did it happen? To answer these questions, experts conducted further analysis. Gradually, the answer began to emerge when scientists discovered traces of resin used to reattach body parts. This indicated that the separated limbs had once been repaired. The leading hypothesis is that Amenhotep I's tomb may have been looted. Later, priests of the 21st dynasty intervened. They carefully repaired the mummy, returned the arms and legs to their proper positions, rewrapped the body with new bandages, and attempted to restore the king's dignified appearance as it once was. Beyond physical restoration, they also protected him through spiritual belief. Evidence of this was found beneath the wrappings. Researchers discovered 30 protective amulets, along with an exquisitely crafted gold belt. Each item seemed to serve as a promise that even if the body had been damaged, the soul of the pharaoh would remain safe in the afterlife. It was an act that was both methodical and deeply humane, even by ancient standards. Yet the paradox remains. Despite modern technology, the cause of Amenhotep I's death is still a mystery. There are no clear signs of disease, no obvious deformities sufficient to draw a conclusion. Ancient cemetery with thousands of tombs carved into steep cliff faces like a honeycomb. There is a place where, upon arriving, you do not look down at the ground to find graves. You have to look up. Look up at the sheer cliff faces, where thousands of dark openings appear densely packed, like a gigantic honeycomb frozen in stone by time itself. These are not natural caves, but an ancient cemetery, where the dead were buried directly into the mountainside. That place is called Pantalica, one of the most strange and haunting sights on the island of Sicily, Italy. As you may know, Sicily has long been famous as a land of the unusual. Yet few people realize that beyond its ancient cities and crystal blue coastlines, the island also hides an almost perfectly preserved prehistoric necropolis. The rock-cut cemetery of Pantalica is unlike any burial site you have ever seen. To truly take it in, you cannot simply walk inside. Instead, you must stand in the valley below and lift your eyes toward the towering cliffs where thousands of tombs have been carved deep into the limestone. From a distance, the entire necropolis resembles a massive honeycomb clinging to the mountainside. Scattered among the cliffs and caves, researchers have counted approximately 5,000 ancient tombs. All of them were carved by human hands, each one painstakingly chiseled into solid rock. Each tomb has a different shape. Some are square, others rectangular or oval, but they share one common feature: their relatively small size, just large enough to hold the deceased in a tightly flexed position, a burial practice common in ancient times. Stepping inside, the experience becomes even more uncanny. These tombs feel like artificial caves, cool, silent, and enclosed. Some are divided into multiple chambers, suggesting they may have served as burial places for entire families or clans. According to scientific estimates, many of the tombs at Pantalica date back nearly 3,000 years, making it one of the largest prehistoric rock-cut cemeteries in Europe. Pantalica lies within the Hyblaean Mountains, set between valleys carved by the Calcinara and Anapo rivers. The entire necropolis stretches along the mountainsides, forming a landscape that is both majestic and unsettling. Researchers believe this rock-cut cemetery was created by indigenous coastal communities of Sicily during the Late Bronze Age. At the time, carving tombs high into the cliffs may have been a way to protect the dead from wild animals and grave robbers. Yet Pantalica's history did not end there. Many tombs were abandoned when the Sicani people settled in the area during the 7th century BCE. Burial activity resumed in the early Roman period. Centuries later, Muslim communities discovered that these rugged mountains offered an ideal place of refuge, leading to the formation of a medieval settlement in the very heart of this city of the dead. Remarkably, to this day, the Pantalica necropolis remains covered by rich plant and animal life and has been largely untouched by modern infrastructure. Walking through this valley, many people feel as though they are moving backward through time, from the present day to thousands of years in the past. And perhaps because of this unique historical and cultural value, in 2005, Pantalica was recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. If one day you were to stand in this valley and look up at the thousands of tombs carved into the cliffs, would you wonder what led ancient people to choose such a perilous place as their final resting site? What do you think the answer might be? Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. The body of a Chinese noble, found remarkably intact after 1,000 years. You know, there are moments when history does not lie quietly in books, but suddenly emerges right beneath the feet of modern people. And what happened in 2017 in Hunan province, China was exactly such a moment. That year, at a construction site where machinery roared and workers were fully absorbed in their tasks, something unexpected was discovered deep underground: a mysterious coffin. Shortly after the find, archaeological experts were dispatched to the scene, and when the lid of the coffin was carefully opened, everyone was left stunned. Inside were not scattered, dried bones, but the nearly intact body of a man, as if he had only recently been laid to rest. The coffin itself was exquisitely crafted, made from a combination of limestone and high-quality, finely finished wood. This unique combination created a sealed environment that greatly limited the intrusion of air and bacteria, allowing the body to be preserved for centuries with little to no decomposition. Judging by the level of craftsmanship, experts quickly realized that this could not have been an ordinary grave. The burial had been carried out with great care, suggesting that the deceased must have held a certain status in society at the time. Based on initial evidence, archaeologists believe the man lived during the late Ming Dynasty or the early Qing Dynasty. This was a period in Chinese history marked by clear social stratification, and not everyone could afford such an elaborate burial. For this reason, researchers hypothesize that the remains may belong to a member of the nobility, or at the very least, someone from a wealthy and influential family with power and resources. What makes the story even more intriguing is the location where the tomb was found. The mountain where the coffin was discovered is associated with the Wang family, a lineage that once held significant influence in the region's history. This connection has sparked many questions. Could the man inside the coffin have been an important figure within the Wang family, or at least closely connected to this powerful clan? If so, every detail within the tomb could serve as a clue to reconstructing a historical picture blurred by time. There is more. During the examination of the coffin's contents, archaeologists also discovered a fan buried alongside the body. It may sound ordinary, but in ancient Chinese culture, a fan was far more than a daily accessory. It could symbolize education, scholarly refinement, or the social status of its owner. This fan may indicate that the man was a Confucian scholar, a government official, or someone of notable standing during the Ming to Qing period. Just imagine, if that fan could speak, what stories might it tell about its owner? That question remains unanswered. What is known is that immediately after this shocking discovery, all construction activity in the area was suspended. Specialists were brought in to conduct a full excavation and in-depth research. The goal was not only to identify the mysterious man and learn about his life, but also to decode burial customs, coffin-making techniques, and the distinctive cultural elements of the Ming to Qing era. A body remaining intact after hundreds of years is not only astonishing, it raises many questions. What allowed this body to withstand the destructive force of time? Who was this man? What kind of life did he live, and why was he buried with such honor and care? Perhaps this ancient tomb is not merely a final resting place for one individual, but a gateway to the past where every detail is waiting to be deciphered. And who knows, beneath the soil of Hunan, there may still be other stories quietly waiting for the day they are told. Do you think that's possible? Ancient town re-emerges in an oasis after 4,400 years of disappearance. During an archaeological expedition in Khaybar, a rare, lush, and legendary oasis in northwestern Saudi Arabia, an international research team led by Guillaume Charloux of the French National Center for Scientific Research, CNRS, made a remarkable discovery: an ancient, previously unknown town called Al-Nata. Covering an area of approximately 3.7 acres, Al-Nata is unmistakably an urban remnant, a quiet whisper from the Bronze Age, echoing from more than 4,000 years in the distant past. Al-Nata appears like a moment frozen in time. This small yet fortified town was once home to around 500 inhabitants with a tightly organized social structure. Within its sturdy defensive walls lay residential areas and a central district, often described as the heart of the community. Although it was not as large or monumental as contemporary cities in Mesopotamia or the Levant, the very existence of Al-Nata in the middle of an arid desert reveals a crucial chapter in the evolution of human society: the transition from nomadic life to more complex, permanent settlement. According to archaeologists, Al-Nata is a prime example of what they call slow urbanism, a form of urban development that did not emerge rapidly or explosively, but instead took shape gradually, closely adapted to the harsh environment and living conditions of the region. It represents the earliest and clearest evidence that ancient populations in the Khaybar area had begun to build stable, organized communities connected to other fortified settlements nearby, as if a small network of early proto-kingdoms were quietly taking root in the desert. What makes this discovery especially significant is the transitional nature of Al-Nata. According to a study published in the scientific journal PLOS 1, Al-Nata was not merely an ancient settlement, but a symbol of a major civilizational turning point, from a nomadic lifestyle dependent on herding and seasonal movement to a fixed life within defensive walls, marked by clearer social organization and the early formation of political structures. In this sense, Al-Nata serves as a vital link between a more primitive past and the future of urbanization in northwestern Arabia. More than just an ancient town, Al-Nata is living proof that small desert communities once dreamed of stability, learned to plan their lives, and laid the very first bricks for future civilizations. It tells the story of humanity's evolutionary journey, from a precarious, seasonal existence to the foundations of the earliest cities. And it is here, in Khaybar, where sand and time have conspired to guard their secrets, that Al-Nata has risen again from the earth, standing as a witness to a lost era that was never truly forgotten. "30,000-year-old images and the secrets of prehistoric funeral rituals in a mysterious cave in France." Dear friends, the world is vast and diverse. There are places that are beautiful and poetic, but there are also places where, the moment you step inside, even the bravest modern human instinctively lowers their voice, sometimes even holds their breath, not out of fear that the ground might collapse, but out of fear of disturbing a world that has been asleep for tens of thousands of years. The Grotte de Cusack, located in the Dordogne region of southwestern France, is exactly such a place. At first glance, many people might assume it is just another prehistoric cave like Lascaux, famous for its ancient paintings. But no, Cusack goes far beyond that. This site contains not only art, but also the dead. Grotte de Cusack is considered one of the most important archaeological sites in Europe. Inside the cave, scientists have documented more than 800 engravings spread across the rock walls. These images depict animals, human figures, and abstract forms, and are believed to date back approximately 25,000 to 30,000 years. Just imagining that prehistoric humans, still living as hunter-gatherers, were already creating such sophisticated artistic expressions naturally leads to a question. Why did they create this art, and who was it meant for? But that question only scratches the surface of what makes Grotte de Cusack truly extraordinary, and even shocking to archaeologists. Deep within the cave, an international research team led by Professor Jacques Joubert of the University of Bordeaux discovered the skeletal remains of at least 6 individuals. What is remarkable is that these remains date to the same period as the engravings themselves, around 25,000 to 30,000 years ago. This makes Cusack one of the very rare sites where prehistoric humans both created art and buried their dead within the same space. Imagine that for a moment. A cave that served as both an art gallery and a cemetery. What does that tell us? Could this cave have held sacred meaning? Were the engravings directly connected to funeral rituals or spiritual beliefs? And why did they choose this specific place to lay their dead to rest? These are difficult questions, and finding answers is anything but easy. According to Dr. Aline Schatzmans, a researcher from the University of Wollongong and the University of Bordeaux, the project at Grotte de Cusack faces extraordinary challenges. Beyond the usual difficulties of archaeological research, the team is bound by extremely strict regulations. The cave is classified as a National Heritage Site, meaning that no excavation is allowed and nothing inside may be moved or altered. All research must be conducted in place under highly restrictive conditions. As if that were not enough, carbon dioxide levels inside the cave rise to dangerous levels during certain times of the year. For safety reasons, archaeologists are only able to work inside the cave for about 3 months each year. That limited window forces the team to carefully plan every step, every measurement, and every observation, because each entry into the cave is a rare opportunity. Yet what worries scientists the most is something invisible: microorganisms. Even the smallest foreign biological agent could damage the cave's surfaces and the ancient engravings. For this reason, every time researchers enter the cave, they must wear sterilized protective clothing and rubber boots, effectively turning themselves into temporary guests who leave no trace behind, so as not to harm this pristine environment. Another haunting discovery lies in the way the human remains were arranged. The bodies were not scattered randomly, but deliberately moved and placed in 3 distinct locations within the cave. This strongly suggests the existence of a complex, organized funeral ritual, one that was likely deeply connected to spiritual beliefs. For the communities that once lived here, the dead were not separated from the living. Instead, they remained part of a sacred world within the cave. In the years ahead, the research team aims to continue unraveling the relationship between death, art, and belief in prehistoric societies. Because Grotte de Cusack is not just a cave, it is a rare doorway into how our distant ancestors understood life, death, and forces they believed to exist beyond humanity itself. Ghost Castle, atop a Turkish mountain, reveals 2,800 years of the Urartian Empire. Amid the rugged mountains of eastern Van Province, Turkey, archaeologists have recently uncovered a so-called ghost castle that had been buried for nearly 3 millennia. Perched high on a rocky mountaintop where clouds and winds constantly swirl, the site is completely isolated from the world below. Without these recent excavations, few would have imagined that such a massive structure once existed at that elevation, let alone one built by a powerful ancient empire. The archaeological team from Van Yul University reports that what they uncovered is not a collection of scattered ruins, but the remains of a solid, well-fortified castle that once served as a strategic stronghold. Based on its design, construction materials, and commanding location, researchers have confirmed that the fortress belonged to the Kingdom of Urartu, also known as the Ancient Kingdom of Van, a formidable empire that dominated the region for centuries before the Common Era. Because excavations are still in their early stages, it is too soon to determine the castle's full size. Even so, what has already been revealed is enough to inspire awe. Thick defensive walls built from limestone and sandstone show that this was no temporary structure. Every element reflects durability and careful planning, hallmarks of a true military fortress. Most striking of all, archaeologists uncovered the remains of a massive water reservoir with a capacity of approximately 27,700 gallons. This alone offers valuable insight into the scale of occupation inside the castle, as well as the number of people who once lived and worked there. Preliminary analysis suggests the castle dates back roughly 2,800 years and appears to have been in use for several centuries. Its history did not end with the Urartian period, however. Evidence indicates that the site was reused during the medieval era, underscoring just how strategically important its location was. Across different dynasties and time periods, people continued to occupy and adapt the fortress rather than abandon it. To understand how the Urartians were able to construct such imposing castles, one must look at their civilization as a whole. The Urartian Empire was situated in a region favored by nature, a fertile plateau nestled among harsh, rocky mountains. Abundant natural water sources supported stable agriculture. In addition, the area was rich in valuable mineral resources, including gold, silver, copper, lead, and iron. These natural advantages provided the Urartians with lasting prosperity over many centuries. Beyond natural wealth, the region also lay near major ancient trade routes. With desirable goods to exchange, the Urartians quickly grew wealthy, and with that wealth, they invested heavily in large-scale defensive architecture. Castles built atop high mountains not only projected power, but also functioned as near-impenetrable fortresses, protecting the kingdom from distant enemies. Yet prosperity itself can become an invitation to conflict. Over the centuries, this fertile and resource-rich land attracted the ambitions of rival empires. Continuous warfare gradually eroded the strength of Urartian civilization, and eventually, around 590 BCE, the once glorious empire collapsed at the hands of conquerors whose identities are no longer clearly recorded in history. Today, the mountaintop castle stands only as silent ruins, surrounded by wind and stone. But in that silence lies a long story, one of power, wealth, and the price paid by an ancient civilization. If those stone walls could speak, perhaps they would tell us of days of glory, and of the moment the Urartian Empire vanished from the flow of history. 2,000-year-old mummified girl, and the shocking mystery inside. In the quiet halls of the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum in San Jose, California, a place that preserves thousands of years of memories from the legendary civilization along the Nile, a small life lies asleep within the depths of history. It is the mummy of a little girl who was only 5 years old, named Sherry by scientists, a name that in ancient Egyptian means the little one. Although her real name has been lost to time, the layers of linen wrappings, her round earrings, the necklace around her neck, and the protective amulet resting on her chest all make one thing painfully clear. She was deeply loved, and her passing was a profound loss to her family. Sherry lived more than 2,000 years ago, during the period when Roman rule extended over Egypt. According to modern medical analysis, her death may have been caused by dysentery, a disease that was common at the time, yet extremely dangerous for young children. Though she was only a tiny life within the vast flow of history, Sherry has become the starting point of a remarkable journey of discovery, made possible by the combination of archaeology and today's most advanced technologies. Beginning in 2015, researchers at the museum conducted CT scans to examine the interior of the mummy without damaging any of the preserved materials. The true breakthrough came, however, when they applied modern 3D scanning technology using the Artec EVA, a handheld scanner capable of capturing highly detailed, full-color surface images that CT scans alone cannot provide. What makes this achievement so extraordinary is that, without ever touching the mummy, every contour and surface texture could be recreated with striking realism. Data from both scanning methods, CT and 3D, were then integrated into a complete digital model using specialized software developed by Volume Graphics. The result is an incredibly detailed and lifelike 3D mummy model, bringing viewers closer to Sherry than ever before, not just visually, but emotionally and intellectually as well. Thanks to this model, museum visitors are no longer confined to looking through glass cases under dim lighting. Instead, they can hold an iPad and move around the mummy virtually, watching scan layers appear directly on the screen. Every part of the body and every burial object comes vividly to life, as if you were truly touching a story forgotten for more than 2 millennia. Yet the most important achievement here is not the technology itself, but how these advances allow us to listen to voices from the past. Sherry is no longer an anonymous mummy resting silently in the shadows. She has become an individual with her own story, the story of a child lost to illness, yet preserved by future generations with deep respect and care. Christoph Reinhardt, CEO of Volume Graphics, has shared that this new scanning technology not only opens new doors for archaeology, but also represents a major advance in fields such as biology, geology, and paleontology. It allows us to gain profound insight into objects once thought to be completely inaccessible. Sherry, the little one, through the power of technology and the dedication of scientists, has become a symbol of how the modern world can connect with the ancient past and how human knowledge can ensure that memory never truly fades. And sometimes, a sleep lasting 2,000 years becomes the strongest whisper of all, reminding us that behind every mummy lies a story waiting to be told, and that every soul, no matter how small, deserves to be heard. Intact, Nazi aircraft discovered on the seafloor. Some secrets of history do not lie on land, but instead sleep silently beneath cold, dark waters. And off the coast of Rhodes, Greece, on the deep blue floor of the Aegean Sea, a witness from World War II has unexpectedly emerged, proving exactly that. It is a Nazi-German Ju-52 transport aircraft, resting motionless at a depth of approximately 243 feet, preserved in a condition so remarkable that it has astonished even seasoned experts. After spending decades hidden in the darkness of the ocean, this machine of war has retained nearly its original form, as if frozen in time. The aircraft was discovered by a professional diver who used GPS equipment to precisely record its location and documented the entire find on video as verified evidence. When the footage was released, many viewers felt a chill, because what lay before them was not a heap of rusted wreckage, but a Ju-52, the primary transport aircraft of Nazi Germany, resting at an angle on the seafloor, as if it had crashed only yesterday. According to published information, the Ju-52 was found off the coast of Rhodes, an area that had been under Nazi control since 1943. This immediately raised a series of questions among researchers. What mission was the aircraft carrying out at the time? Was it transporting troops, delivering military equipment, or conducting an emergency flight during a particularly intense phase of the war? To this day, no official records have been found documenting the final flight of this Ju-52. Even more mysterious is the cause of the crash itself. No one knows whether the aircraft was shot down, suffered a mechanical failure, or was forced to make an emergency landing in the open sea. There is also no information regarding how many people were on board at the time of the incident. These unanswered questions transform the submerged aircraft from a simple archaeological discovery into a missing piece of wartime history. Upon closer inspection, experts were even more astonished. Despite having spent decades submerged in salt water, the Ju-52's structure remains largely intact. The main fuselage is still present, and the machine guns remain in their original positions, as if ready to fire. Most striking of all, The cockpit control panel still preserves the aircraft's final readings, freezing the last moments of its fatal journey in time. Only the front engine section and the cockpit windshield appear to be missing or severely damaged. This extraordinary level of preservation has led many to wonder, what allowed the aircraft to survive so well beneath the sea? It is likely that the depth of 243 feet, with minimal light and limited human disturbance, unintentionally served as a natural vault, protecting the war machine from the ravages of time. In this case, the ocean was not merely a place of burial, but a place of memory. Naturally, when a military aircraft is found submerged at sea, speculation arises about whether it might have been carrying treasure, secret documents, or undisclosed cargo. As of now, there is no evidence to suggest that this Ju-52 was transporting anything unusual. Still, archaeologists and experts continue their investigations, hoping that within the wreck, or in the surrounding area, additional clues may emerge about the aircraft's final mission. Perhaps one day in the not-too-distant future, all the answers surrounding this mysterious plane will finally come to light. The world's oldest runestone and its mysterious messages. In the heart of the cold lands of northern Europe, where snow blankets, rolling hills, and history seems to sleep beneath ancient layers of earth, a groundbreaking discovery has awakened memories that stretch back thousands of years to the age of the Vikings. On January 17th, Norwegian archaeologists announced a find considered a major turning point in the study of European writing systems, the world's oldest known runestone, dating back nearly 2,000 years. This discovery has not only stunned the archaeological community, but has also raised a wave of new questions about the origins of language, civilization, and the long unsolved mysteries of ancient Nordic cultures. The stone itself is not large, measuring roughly 12 by 12 inches, and is made of brown sandstone, shaped into a rough square. It was excavated in late 2021 in the Tyrifjorden area, a quiet region northwest of Oslo, Norway's capital. What makes this stone extraordinary, however, is not its size, but the runic inscription carved into its surface, a seemingly simple line of text that carries with it an entire forgotten chapter of history. When transliterated into the Latin alphabet, the inscription reads, Idibarug. To this day, researchers have not been able to determine its exact meaning. It may be the name of the person buried in the grave, a prayer, or perhaps even an ancient code that has yet to be deciphered. Through carbon dating of bone fragments and wood found within the burial site, scientists have determined that the stone dates to somewhere between AD 1 and AD 250. This makes it the earliest known evidence of runic writing ever discovered, pushing back previous timelines that suggested runes first appeared around the 3rd or 4th century AD. Once again, history must be rewritten, and our understanding of the origins and development of writing in Europe must be reconsidered. According to Crystal Zilmer, a leading runic scholar at the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo, this stone is a truly one-of-a-kind discovery. It is not merely an archaeological artifact, but a whisper from the ancestors of Scandinavia to future generations, an essential piece in the broader picture of Viking civilization, long shrouded in myth and legend. Runes represent the earliest writing system used by the Vikings and other Germanic peoples across Scandinavia. Unlike many cultures that wrote on paper or parchment, runes were typically carved directly into stone, large, raw blocks erected at burial sites as a form of memorial and sacred communication with the afterlife. Yet very few runestones can rival the age and preservation of this find. The existence of the inscription on the Tyrifjorden stone has shattered long-held assumptions and opened new directions for the study of ancient Nordic history. If runic writing truly emerged at the very beginning of the Common Era, it suggests that Nordic societies developed written language far earlier than previously believed, early enough to be compared with other advanced civilizations of the same period. And perhaps, somewhere beneath the frozen soil of the north, many more stones still lie waiting, silent witnesses to the past, ready to be uncovered and to illuminate even more of history's darkest corners. 12 dragons beneath a Chinese lake. It all began in May 1977, when Sichuan County, under the jurisdiction of Nanyang City in Henan Province, was struck by an unprecedented and severe drought. The ground cracked open, vegetation withered, and rivers dried up completely. By October of the same year, the water level of the Donjiangkou Reservoir dropped dramatically, exposing a sight never seen before. Longshan Mountain, which had been submerged underwater for many years, suddenly emerged from the drained lake. It was there that a group of children from Xiasi village, while playing nearby, heard strange noises and discovered a deep pit that had unexpectedly appeared. Inside, faint light reflected off numerous ceramic vessels. Frightened, the children dared not enter and instead reported the discovery to the adults. Villagers soon gathered, driven by curiosity and hope of finding valuables. However, village chief Liu, aware of the importance of protecting cultural heritage, quickly sealed off the site and reported it to the county's cultural authorities. Thus began a difficult and dangerous excavation, led by Zhang Xixian and an experienced archaeological team. The excavation faced constant challenges as the reservoir water level repeatedly rose and fell, washing away progress again and again. The team eventually changed tactics, adopting a guerrilla-style excavation approach, prioritizing large tombs with the highest concentration of valuable artifacts. On several occasions, archaeologists even risked their lives by diving deep into the reservoir to avoid missing this once-in-a-lifetime historical opportunity. After a year of perseverance, their efforts were rewarded. The team uncovered tens of thousands of artifacts dating back to the spring and autumn period of the Zhou dynasty, all belonging to the Longcheng Mausoleum complex, a millennia-old treasure trove hidden beneath water and mud. Among these discoveries, Tomb A2 stood out as the most extraordinary. It contained nearly 7,000 jade pieces, along with musical instruments, chariots, weapons, and ritual objects. Yet the most shocking find was the discovery of 12 bronze dragons, buried deep beneath layers of mud and water. Tragically, most of the dragons had been smashed, likely by tomb robbers during the Han Dynasty who, unable to remove them, chose to destroy them instead. After careful examination, experts determined that the 12 dragons were originally part of a rare bronze ritual wine table, cast from green bronze, a material reserved exclusively for the nobility. The task of restoring this shattered masterpiece was entrusted to Wang Chengqing, a renowned restoration expert from Henan province. At over 60 years old, Wang and his assistant devoted more than 1,000 days and nights, working through 26 complex restoration processes to bring the artifact back to life. When the restoration was completed in early 1984, it stunned the world. The artifact, known as the bronze wine table with cloud patterns, Yunwen Tong Jin, is considered living proof of a three-dimensional lost wax casting technique believed to have disappeared more than 1,000 years ago. Its significance goes far beyond artistic value. It fundamentally rewrote history by pushing the origins of this advanced casting technique back from the Tang Dynasty to the spring and autumn period. The table stands approximately 11.3 inches high, measures over 3.3 feet in length, and weighs more than 198 pounds. It is powerfully designed, encircled by 12 dragons, each uniquely fierce and imposing, symbolizing the supreme authority of the ancient state of Chu. Based on inscriptions carved into the table, archaeologists identified it as a burial object belonging to Zi Gung, a powerful prime minister during the reign of King Kong of Chu. The value of the Yunwen Tong Jin is considered priceless. In 2002, China's National Cultural Heritage Administration listed it among 64 national treasures prohibited from being exhibited abroad. Experts estimate its value could exceed 10 billion yuan, roughly 1.4 billion US dollars. It is not merely an artifact, but a living treasure, embodying the history, technology, and spirit of a magnificent civilization long buried in the relentless flow of time. The Olmec stone heads, a mystery that has challenged humanity for thousands of years. In a hidden corner of human history, deep within the jungles of present-day Mexico, there exist strange relics that have puzzled scientists for decades. They are not the Egyptian pyramids, nor are they the Moai statues of Easter Island, yet their mystery and allure are no less compelling. These are the colossal stone heads of the Olmec civilization, one of the oldest and least understood civilizations in the Americas. Imagine standing before a massive stone block weighing nearly 20 tons, rising to a height of about 11.5 feet, carved into a human head with remarkably lifelike and detailed features. What makes this even more astonishing is that the stone used to create these heads does not originate from where they were discovered. Instead, it was quarried from the Tuxtlas Mountains, located more than 185 miles away, an extraordinary distance for any ancient civilization. So how did the Olmec people, who lived more than 3,000 years ago, transport such enormous stone blocks without wheels, without metal tools, and without any form of modern machinery? According to expert estimates, moving a single stone of this size would have required more than 1,500 people pulling continuously for 3 to 4 months, an almost unimaginable logistical effort given the harsh conditions of the time. And that was only the beginning. After successfully transporting the stone, they still had to carve it into a human likeness, a task demanding extraordinary precision and skill. This leads to yet another unanswered question. What tools did they use to sculpt these heads? This remains one of the greatest mysteries modern science has yet to solve. To this day, there is no evidence that the Olmec possessed metal tools or advanced stone-cutting technology capable of achieving such accuracy. So what enabled them to create masterpieces that have endured for thousands of years? The discovery of the Olmec stone heads not only shocked the archaeological world, but also overturned long-held assumptions about the origins of Mesoamerican civilizations. For many years, most anthropologists believed the Maya were the first to lay the foundations of civilization in the region. However, archaeological evidence has shown that it was the Olmec, not the Maya, who were the true parent civilization of Mesoamerica. The Olmec not only produced monumental and mysterious stone artworks, but also built large cities and impressive pyramids at a very early stage, even before the founding of Rome and earlier than the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. This reveals that the Olmec were not merely skilled sculptors, but also highly advanced builders and engineers, far more sophisticated than we once believed. This raises an intriguing question. Did the Olmec possess a lost technology or a form of knowledge that modern humanity has yet to rediscover? Many theories have been proposed, ranging from assistance by extraterrestrial civilizations to the idea of an advanced prehistoric technology that once existed and then vanished. All of these remain speculative, shrouded in mystery. Yet regardless of how bold these theories may be, one fact is undeniable. The level of development achieved by the Olmec far exceeded what would be expected of their era. They demonstrated profound knowledge of astronomy, architecture, mathematics, and art. Their ability to coordinate the movement of stones weighing tens of tons, to carve intricate facial features and subtle expressions, reflects extraordinary intelligence, systematic thinking, and organizational skill, qualities rarely matched by other ancient civilizations. What makes the Olmec stone heads truly extraordinary is not just their size or craftsmanship, but the story behind them, a story forgotten, buried by time, yet still silently challenging our understanding today. They serve as a powerful reminder that there is still so much about the past we do not know, and that every new discovery has the potential to reshape how we view human history. Perhaps somewhere within those ancient ruins, there are still clues waiting to be uncovered, clues to a civilization that once flourished and that may have possessed secrets far ahead of its time. And when will we finally unlock those secrets? The answer may still lie deep beneath the earth, waiting to be awakened. Dear friends, beneath the layers of time-worn dust that seem to have long fallen silent, history is still quietly leaving us with unanswered questions. Every ancient trace, every set of bones, and every artifact that is uncovered feels like a message sent from the past, reminding us that people today are only a very small part of the long, continuous flow of time. We may not yet have enough evidence to fully understand everything, but it is precisely this uncertainty that makes the journey of discovery more fascinating than ever. If these mysteries still leave your mind spinning, you are certainly not alone. The search for truth never truly ends, and every new discovery only opens the door to even more questions. Don't forget to follow the channel, turn on notifications, and join us on our next explorations as we continue to uncover the secrets that remain buried in history. Thank you for taking the time to watch this entire video. And for now, goodbye and see you again soon.